Welcome to the Matchmaker Mentor Podcast, the show where aspiring and experienced matchmakers come to sharpen their skills, grow their businesses, and elevate the matchmaking industry. Your host is Arlene Washburn, an award-winning ethical matchmaking advocate, mentor, and industry innovator. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Matchmaker Mentor Podcast, where aspiring and experienced matchmakers learn from the best in the business. I'm your host, Arlene Washburn, an ethical matchmaking advocate and mentor, and today we have an incredible guest who understands the power of building relationships, serving others, and networking for success. Steve Ramona is a business networking powerhouse. I know because I have met so many amazing people through him, and he hosts the Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. And I am so excited to have this conversation, to learn more about podcasting and to talk about what it means to be a super connector, which I know is your thing, Steve. So welcome to the show. I'm so grateful to have you here.
Arlene, I'm so blessed to be here. You're a rock star, and I love talking to rock stars.
Oh, thank you. So we were just chatting a few minutes ago, and I know you do this podcast and you do so many things, but what has led you through this path? I mean, I was looking at your resume on LinkedIn and everything. You've had a very interesting path. So how did we get here and what you do today?
Yeah, it started at 18 when my family launched a health club. And they asked, hey, why don't you come work? It's summer out of high school. Of course, you need money, get a date, go to the beach, do all those things as an 18-year-old does. I said, yeah. I'd work 3 or 4 days a week. And I worked at the front desk, and I would check people in, pretty ambiguous, just, hey, hello, Arlene, welcome, have a great day. But as weeks went by and months, and I'm running cards and getting to know people, not everybody, but some people, the conversation started with 40, 50, 60-year-olds. And I remember I'm 18. So I'm a little nervous. How do I talk to them? But as you check them in, it's like, how was your vacation, Tony? Hey, John, did you have your grandson yet? Oh, not yet. It's next week. Oh, I can't wait. Let me know what happens. Hey, they take me out to lunch. I'd go out to dinner and I'd see that, hey, there's Steve from it was called Royal Court. Hey, there's Steve from Royal Courts. And I realized I'm building this really cool network of very successful people. And one of the stories I tell all the time when I speak is Tony, a financial advisor, a little short Italian guy. He called me Kid. Hey, Kid, how you doing? I said, Tony, I'm doing great. And he flipped me a book. It was The Wealthy Barber. And he said, I need you to do me a favor. I'm going to want you to read this. And next Tuesday, I'm going to come and ask you about it. Absolutely. It's a small book, Kid. I know you're 19, 18. You won't have to read much. So I did read it because I was scared of him a little bit because he was such a peer of mine. And he came back Tuesday and he goes, okay, Kid, you read it? I said, I did. So what'd you get from the book? This is basically what it's saying is take 10% of my income, put it away. Don't touch it. That's it. That's what I teach all my clients. Not all of them do it, but you got it. Now, this is 1979. $5 an hour, $4 an hour he's making. Not like today. 10 years go by, and I think about that account. And I looked at it periodically, but I didn't do anything. But this day I looked for some reason, and I looked at open the account at $68,000. Mm-hmm. Holy moly. I called Tony. I said, Tony, oh my God, I'm so excited. $68,000. Because I told you, Kid, you do it. You're going to save money. And back at that time, that was a lot of money for a 28-year-old.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Of course, I spent $8,000 on with trips and stuff, which was okay. But the thing I learned Tony was he wouldn't take my $1,000. So I wanted to pay him. So that was your job, serving him. He goes, no, Kid. You taking my advice and running with it, you changed my universe. I gave you a gift. You got a gift back. We gift exchange. We served each other. I know I had a multi-million-dollar business, partly because people like you listened to me because I gave you free advice. I gave free advice all the time. I'm like, holy mackerel, I got off the phone like, okay, one, I'm building a huge network of great people like that who are super successful. But two, I can do the same thing, start giving gifts for free. And that launched me into different opportunities. But the cool thing is because I built this wide network, I matchmake. I'm going to use what you do, matchmaking in business. Every opportunity flourished because I just go to that network from the health club. Hey, guys, I'm starting this company. If you need any recycling, reach out. I had $150,000 in my bank account in 6 months. Me and two other guys. We were a small company because people were more than willing to work with me. Plus, I brought them value. So it was a good combination. Oh, yeah, Steve from Royal Courts. Yeah, we'll help you. Hey, we'll do an event. And every opportunity I've done, just reaching out to my network and said, hey, I need some help or support here, I've flourished. I've realized networking is really huge.
Okay, so another thing we have in common, I had that book, that 10% putting on. Well, I'm trying to remember the name of the company that put that out way back when, probably because we're about the same. Maybe I'm a little older than you. But it was this concept of putting away 10% of your income. And gosh, can you remember the name of the company? I remember that. But anyway, putting that aside, I love your personality is just, like how you naturally are, and this giving and serving thing. But it's so, even though you're not trying, it's so strategic at the same time, because people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And because you're a giver, that's another book I read, The Go Giver. I actually am hooked up with him on LinkedIn, and we corresponded once or twice years ago. But I really do believe in that you're going to get back tenfold what you give. So I really do believe in that concept, and I love that approach. So tell me more about the networking aspects, because I'm always looking for ways for, particularly because I work with matchmakers, I train them, the aspiring and both, aspiring and existing matchmakers. And I do believe that networking is what leads to actual clients if you're doing it in the right way. What advice would you give people about how to network?
ASLA principle. I'll say that again, the ASLA principle. ASLA. Ask, shut up, listen, ask again. Listening and questions. That's what's out, but people love that because it really, you can remember that. ABL2 is the only thing I tell you. ABL, always be listening. Because when you ask a question, what's your challenges in your business? Oh, I need more people. Because I shut up and I listen. Now people go, well, shut up. Yeah. No, not everybody listens when they shut up. How many couple arguments I've had with my wife where I'm not listening and just, yeah, okay. And then didn't answer it. We do it all the time. We're human, we're fallible, and that's okay. But learning to shut up and listen, and then you can come up with that next question or ask. It could be an ask, I need help with this, or it could be, here, let me give you a referral. Here, let me give you a resource. It is so powerful because you can do it without thinking. Just listen. People will tell you their story. People will tell you what's going on if you ask. If they don't, well, then it's difficult. Rarely happens, but then you move on and it's just not a good match. Right. And that's okay. Not everybody's going to be a good match. So you start with that, and always in your mind, when you're meeting somebody new or law of increase. Increase, transformational, not transactional. I met you, Arlene, gave you some referrals. I transformed you. Now, people are like, well, she went from 4 feet to 5 feet to 6. No, not that kind of transformation. The transformation of making a difference in somebody's life. Now, transformation could be, your baby has the cutest bow on. I love her smile. Now, as a mother, when somebody tells you that, you feel good. Maybe 5 seconds, 5 minutes. That's transformation. You just changed that woman's life or that husband's, father's life a little bit. There's a wide range of doing this. The more value you bring, the law of reciprocity comes like bananas. I get 2 to 3 referrals daily for my podcast, for my business, just to meet people so I can mentor them for free. Think about that, audience. If you're getting 3 referrals daily for the last 18 months, how much would you grow? I grew massively. Now, the ask at the end is a key as well. When I bring value to people, I'll always ask, hey, Arlene, do you know people that do this? Do you know a good guest here? Do you know a guest in whatever that may be? Always ask. Because if they say no, you just go next in your head, next person. But you have to ask.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned listening. As a matter of fact, I just interviewed the listening philosopher, and I think he was on your show, coincidentally. You know what I'm talking about? Sigmund last name?
Oh, Christopher Sigmund. Yeah.
Christopher.
Philosopher. Yeah.
Yeah. And, we talked quite a bit about listening, which is such an important thing in everything you do. But it's a great way when you're networking and you're just asking a question and listening to people. Want to be heard. They want to be seen. They want to be validated. And you give so much and they're so grateful. But there's also a lot to be said about how you yourself feel when you give. Like I just did, similar to what you were saying, a free session with someone who needed some strategic input about his business because right now he's not getting the type of leads, etc. And I roll up my sleeves and I'm really forthcoming. Like I don't hold back. I'll give it all during that call. I'm going to do anything I can to help this person. And I saw that look on his face, of gratitude. And he's like, what can I do for you? I'm like, nothing. I'm good. I want to help. So I think, and I feel like I get a lot out of it. I don't know how you feel, but it's a reciprocal thing. And I think there's a study about this too, that I forget what it's called. There's a name for it, that the giver actually almost sometimes gets more than the taker. Yeah.
And here's one thing too. And you mentioned that, and I used to do this, and here's a tip, audience. When you're giving, I used to not, when somebody said, how can I help you? I'd be, hey, I put my hand up. Oh, I'm good. You enjoy those referrals. And they will. But I met this guy that makes millions of dollars a year. And he said, Steve, no, don't do that. Because I wake up in the morning serving, I go to bed serving. But when I serve somebody, a lot of times they go, how can I support you? And I tell them, I need this. I'm looking for this. I need help here. Because if we don't do that, we actually turn them into takers. Mm. And here's why. Because when somebody gives a gift, let's think Christmas. It's always a great opportunity for this. I think me and you get Christmas every day. We get to help people. We get gifts. If you get you give a gift to somebody and they don't give you a gift back, it's kind of a weird feeling. Mm. Imagine you give your wife or husband a gift and you get nothing from them. Nothing. It's a weird feeling. I'm not judging that at all, but I'm just saying, think about that feeling. That's what he told me what you were doing. And Arlene, once I started asking, my income blew up. Because I go, I'm looking for this. I need a billionaire here. I need a super successful actor here. I need an NFL player here, or whatever it may be. And coming out of the woodwork. Hey, I know this person. And I got so many gifts. And I still get so many gifts. I had a guy this week give me a $2,500 membership for free. I love what you're doing. You've been so great to me. You give me so many great referrals. I want you part of my community for the next year on me. I didn't expect that. I never asked him that. He just did it on his own.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for that. I will take that lesson and I'm going to implement that for the next one. I love that. Okay, so one of the things that I've noticed is a lot of these matchmakers, and including myself now with this podcast, we're, trying to connect with audiences through podcasting. I know that you have had massive success doing this. I think I was looking and you're up to 650 something episodes. I don't even know.
632, I think it is. Yeah, I don't keep track.
So what advice would you give? Because I need to start, I'm going to take notes as you talk about this, but I'm starting a podcast. I held off for years because to be honest, I would hear other people's podcasts and it was so good. I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can commit. How do I get people? All the mind, stuff that you do to yourself when you're about to take a leap. And I finally did it now, and thank God. And I have you on my show, which to me is an honor. But what would you say to the people out there who want to start a podcast? Where do they begin, and what should they know going in?
The first thing I hear is there's too many podcasts. It's your podcast. I have my own. Arlene, you have your own. Doesn't matter. There's another 2 million other podcasts. I have Steve Ramona's podcast, Doing Business with a Servant. That's my podcast. Mm-hmm. I bring people in. That's my network. And then, of course, I have the network when I share it. But podcasting, if you go, I just was watching something yesterday, and the lady goes on the TV show, goes, yeah, I'm a podcast host. it's showing up in movies, it's showing up in TV series, it's showing up everywhere because it's growing. The listenership in podcasts has grown 50% and dropped down to 20-year-olds. Used to be 25, 26. So the age range is increasing and the numbers are increasing.
Wow.
And it doesn't cost you a lot to do it. So with your podcast, this is what I teach and this is what I do, like I'm going to do with you. And I don't have to already. We built the energy, but we meet. What do you do? What's your superpowers? You know, what do you want to talk about? Da, da, da. I'm so excited. I even had a wonderful lady on today, but she wasn't very energetic. Great knowledge. She's positive intelligence. One of the smartest ladies I know. We got done. She goes, "Oh my God, that one of the best podcasts I've ever been on. I haven't been on a lot, but man, you're so good." Why I'm so good is I start the podcast before the podcast is bringing the energy. Okay. Instead of Arlene, hey, welcome to the podcast. Yeah, we'll do a show, and or Arlene, I'm fired up for you to be here. I can't wait to talk about matchmaking. I was terrible at it. I want to learn. Can you teach? That type of energy. Then you get into a podcast. You ask questions and let them roll. Let them tell stories. Just ask questions. That's all you're doing. And as you learn to do this, you're going to get better. The magic happens when you get done with the podcast. Arlene, what an incredible podcast. Oh my God, you said this, this, and this. I take notes too. You don't have to. You said this here. I wrote down, and you said this. Thank you for teaching me this. Be authentic. I'm not blowing smoke. I'm being very authentic. Oh my God. And how was the podcast? Oh, Steve, it was really good. I always ask that to make sure it was good. And 99.9% of the time it's good. But now the energy starts happening. We'll go, I heard you say you need help here. I'm going to introduce you to Arlene. You're looking for a date? Well, she's a great matchmaker. She's got these matchmakers. Really? Oh my God. And you're doing so well in your business because you told me you've done millions during the podcast. This would be a great fit for you. I think you do all that introduction, those referrals. Well, now they're fired up. Energy at the start. Great podcast. I'm going to promote them. That's just, they know it. I go out to thousands of people. And then I do that. What's the next thing that happens? How can I support you, Steve? It's great you asked. I'm looking for land. I'm looking for this type of guest. Like I said earlier, it's all about energy with people, I think. And that's what I've learned. Build that energy up. If you're not as energetic as me, you don't have to be, but say their name multiple times. Mention good things, like you got love behind your shoulder. I notice right away. I like it. It excites me. Those little things of edifying people, again, genuinely, your energy is going to go up. Because when people do it to me, like, you're a great podcast host, it makes me feel good.
Yeah. And I was going to compliment you on your voice. You have such a great voice for radio because you have the ability to that vocal dynamics and stuff. Did you actually go to school for that or you just learned that as you were going? Because I just today interviewed someone and they told me that they felt my energy was low. Now I was in bed for 2 days sick. So today was the first day out of bed, but I mean, the fact that they picked up on that, I'm like, oh, I got to bring the energy because I'm talking to Steve and he's a powerhouse.
Well, I did. There's one YouTube I was looking on my screen. I still of this guy that talked about the inflections. And it was just a TEDx talk, 10 minutes. I didn't know. I haven't got any training. And if I want to teach people, you bring it down here and then, oh my God, this, and then you bring it, I saw this. And then, like the Tony story, it's like, got excited when I got the book and I had 60. Oh my God, I had 68. Right. So bringing that energy. And it's interesting you say that somebody said you didn't have energy. I don't know them. I'm not judging, but what happens a lot of times, their energy's low too. Because when I guest, look what I'm doing here. I'm not the host. I want this, the law of increase in my head keeps popping all the time. I'm going to bring energy. I'm loving this podcast. I want to help people in this audience. I want to energize them, motivate them, inspire them. So you don't have to have, because I always think I'm too loud, but I've learned people are like, no, your energy is just right. Perfect. Which I had to learn. And I listened. That was the other thing. I listened and took action. That's two other things that you can do to really connect with people. But the podcast, you can go out. I've had people go out and go on LinkedIn and go, Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank. Reach out. Go, I'd love to have you on my podcast. No, they never answered, but I reached out to Lee Steinberg, who is Patrick Mahomes' agent. They're going to the Super Bowl, a boo-boo, but I'm not a Chiefs fan. I'm a Niners fan. They beat us last year. But I reached out on LinkedIn and said, Lee, I love your story. I think it fits my podcast. Would you jump on? Absolutely. Hour later, I got an email from his ad. 3 weeks later, he's on my show.
That's amazing. And, you know, I was listening to Joe Rogan. Some people hate him. Some people love him. Regardless of that, there was somebody on there who was saying, I think it was Joe Rogan, or maybe it was the Diary of a CEO, because I'm always listening to podcasts. And what they were saying is that even like with the elections and everything else, the difference between the two candidates in America was that one actually went on these long form podcasts, and it's becoming more and more of a thing, versus the other who just showed up like your usual, here are the questions that you're going to ask. I'm going to answer those questions and I'm going to go. And that doesn't work anymore. You know, like you have to be more open and authentic. And because in the way they explained it in this podcast, what they were saying, which made a lot of sense, is that because the news and everything is so slanted, you don't know what to believe anymore. So when you hear someone in a long form podcast, you kind of make your own judgment about what you think in that particular situation. So I think that podcasting is going to get bigger and bigger. And I really don't think that there are that many podcasts compared to other mediums that are just so many of them. Right. Yeah. So I'm really excited to finally jump in. And what else can I learn from the expert at podcasting?
Well, I'm going to give you kudos because, audience, think about this. Trump won the presidential election. A big part of it was being on podcast. His son, Barron, was talking about, I saw an interview. He's like, I told my dad to get on podcast, go on Joe Rogan's. And he's like, oh, you're crazy. Okay. He gave us a lot of credit. Now, wasn't the whole thing, but you see the real Donald Trump. Hate him or love him, we're not going there.
It's not the politics, it's the techniques that we're talking about. Yeah,
exactly. And if you don't like a podcast, then you don't listen. That's the beauty of it. You listen to podcasts. If you don't like, you don't listen. But it really brings the message out. Yeah. I mean, I was talking about in the podcast workshop yesterday, and I realized some of my messages are absolutely incredible. And for example, one of my guests, Alfonso James, at 17, he was convicted of murder. Wow. He never did the murder. He was never there. He was miles away, but there was corruption. He spent 32 years in prison, 5 years in solitaire. He's 40. He was 54 when he was on my show. So he's more than half his life has been gone. But I said, I don't know how I could keep together. How are you so grateful? He goes, Steve, and audience, I want you to really listen to this because I tell people all the time. I get to drive to the lake. I get to watch the birds chirp and fly by me. I get to see the lake ripple, and I get to see the sunrise. I missed all of that for mostly of my 32 years. I stuck between 4 concrete walls. I am so appreciative that I'm out. I can look back, learn, and I'm like, okay, if I'm worried about somebody didn't show up for a meeting or a podcast, no big deal. This guy spent 32 years in prison. Yeah. You get those stories out and you get messages from people who go, oh my God, you made me look at life much differently.
Yeah.
I transformed somebody.
Oh my God, that's so true. And the gratitude from these people coming out of situations like that is just makes you reflect in your own life and have more gratitude that you haven't gone through a situation like that. Let's talk a little bit about Steve, the person, and what goes on in Steve's life. I know that you are happily married, and similar to me, we're both in interracial relationships.
Yes.
So you met your now wife at a later time, right? You waited a while before you got married. Tell me more.
Great matchmaking story. Matchmakers out there, you can borrow this. So we launched a health club, and I told you I started at 18. Well, I stayed on. I still went to college, but after I got done, they brought me back, and I became director and was part of running the company. And my wife, Melinda, worked for us as an aerobic teacher and a fitness trainer. So I met her in the early, probably mid-'80s, and we connected, great friends, but she was getting married. nothing I can do. So we go on our lives, and we had sold the company in 2000, the gyms. And this was 2014. So a long time after. I'm not a Facebook fan, but thank God for Facebook. There's this post that pops up. Now, how interesting is this? It's my ex-girlfriend's sister and Melinda, it's my wife's name, talking about how their daughters were singing in a choir together. And they were showing the video of them singing beautiful voices. And I just typed, is this Melinda Van Dyke from the Royal Courts Health Club? Yeah, Steve Ramona. Right away, she goes, hey, I'm going to send you my number. Let's get together. So amazing. We got together January 2nd. Her kids were with her ex. So she was, had nothing to do. So we met at Buffalo Wild Wings, which we go to every year on our anniversary just to rekindle. And we sat there and we talked and laughed for 3 hours.
Okay.
And to add to the story, the next day she had a date with the guy she was dating. And she's driving with her daughter. Her older daughter was home, driving her somewhere. She goes, you know what? I'm going to cancel that date. I think I found my guy. And she canceled the date. And, the first date, I remember picking her up and her parents are there because she's been through a lot. It hasn't been a great married. And I'll just leave it. It's been tough. Mm-hmm. And when I come pick her up, the parents are looking around. The dad's looking at me with daggers. Typical, right? And we went on a great date, and we started going to basketball games and supporting. And she's like, oh, my God, this guy's showing up without just – I love sports, so it wasn't a big deal. But, supporting her kids. And it just led to dating. And I remember sitting across from the dinner table with her dad, and he said, Steve, just don't mess with my daughter. She's had some hard times, and just be good to her. And just Sunday, he told me he's been in a hospital. He's doing good now, but he turned to me. He goes, I respect you and care for you, and you're part of my family, and you'll always will be because of who you are and what you've done. It's, trying not to tear up, and, he was dead serious. Yeah, I know. But that's where you just never know where this matchmaking is going to come from. Now, I got married at 60 years old.
Well,
I've never been married before.
You don't even look 60. Well,
Thank
my
you.
gosh, there's so many things in your story. Number one, kudos to your now wife who made the first move, whether it was for romantic purposes or whatever, friendship. Women make the move. Men need this because it's so hard and there's so much rejection that's coming at these men that is really important to go ahead and just say, hey, let's get together. Here's my number, right?
Love it.
Also, sometimes people are jaded. They're like, oh my gosh, he's 60 years old. He's never been married. Forget it. No, he hasn't met the right person yet. They still get married. I had a client who I introduced to her now husband, and he only met her. She only met him, and she got married for the first time at the age of 60. They're still happily married. They came in July 9th. July 13th actually was my husband's birthday celebration, but he's July 9th. And her birthday was July 13th, and they came to the party. We had over 200 people here. So age doesn't matter. People waiting longer to get married, and people marry for different reasons now. Actually, they marry more for love than they do for, convenience and financial stuff like it used to be back in the day. You needed to get married. You were a woman. You couldn't even get a credit card without a husband, right?
It's crazy.
So, and then I love that, her dad has fully embraced you and realized, this is a good guy and he's taking care of my daughter and he's there for her. He's there for her kids. That's amazing.
No, it is. And it's what I do in business. You try to do in your personal life. Mm-hmm. Ask, shut up, listen, ask, bring value to people, do the best you can. He needs help, this or that, just those little things. That's why I say work and life really cross over a lot. I don't believe in balance because it's impossible to me. I mean, if you're going through a divorce, how are you going to be able to handle your business? It's going to be tough. Yeah. Because he's got this, I have no guys I'm working with that it's pulling on them a little or a lot, depending on what it is. So just trying to be good, try to serve your loved ones as well as you serve your business people or the people you work with.
You say a lot of things that I say, which is so weird. You're like, I don't believe in balance. I just had this conversation. I'm like, there's no such thing as balance. It's just integrate, right? Sometimes you're going to have to spend more time here, then more time there. Just be present in whatever it is that you're doing. Do it as well as you can, and then go back to this other thing, whether it's family, whatever. Like, people just need to understand that you can't balance everything. There's just integration. And I love that you say a lot of your concepts and the things that you say are very, very similar. And I mean, I'm not a big astrology person, but I know you're a Cancer, right?
That's right. You do.
So
Yes. You
my
remember.
husband's a Cancer. I love Cancer men. We just click. We just connect. There's like this weird understanding of each other, like that is, and similarities.
It's cool. Yeah. Yeah. And one thing I want to add about being 60, getting married, if you're older and not married, people will come up to me, what's wrong? Why ain't you married? You know, I know they're not trying to be mean, but you are being mean.
Yeah.
Don't do that. That doesn't get anywhere. But if people do that, this is a phrase that comes to my head if somebody does that. What you think about me is none of my business. And it just washes away. You think I'm weird because I'm not married and I'm 55 years old? More power to you. You live alone? Who 55-year-old live alone? Me, I do. What you think about me is none of my business. So audience, take that and run with it, especially in life. You go on a date, it doesn't work out, and they ream you. Hey, what you think about me is none of my business.
I love that.
Move on.
It's so true. And I just feel that in our society, we just need to stop being so judgmental in general. You never know the background of whatever led people to where they are today, or, everyone has their own life experiences and things that they focus on that you don't know about. So don't make assumptions. Don't come at, it's so interesting and so polarizing, really. Like, I just
polarizing, a great word.
Right? Because like I was saying, I was watching the Joe Rogan. I like to hear all perspectives, and then I'm going to form my own. And I have to do that. I can't be in a bubble of just listening to the thing that I want to hear, because that doesn't teach me anything. Right? If I already know that and we're 100% in alignment, I think it's great for harmony. But if I need to learn, I need to seek out information outside of me, outside of what I believe, and kind of come up with what I think really resonates or whatever. I mean, I like things that I like proof, but there's also like a gut feeling type situation as well. And when you start to give people an opportunity and there's discourse, it's amazing what you find out. Like, wow, this is a really cool person. They might have a different political view or philosophy or whatever, but they're a human being, they're a good person, and we're just not, we may not be fully aligned in that regard, but I'm not going to stop talking to them.
Right. I learned this a while ago from a very successful business person. We have different things that we like. Me and you like different things. He says, look at it like a restaurant. Why does a restaurant have a menu of multiple items? Mm-hmm. Why isn't it just a burger, fries, and a shake? How many people would go there?
Yeah.
They wouldn't go there. They have options because they know their clientele, their customers at a restaurant enjoy different foods. My wife loves fish. I don't. I like chicken and turkey, and that's okay. We still love each other. You still love your husband. You might like chicken. It's okay to like different things. It's kind of fun. But once he told me that, it's like, okay, I get you. We all have different thoughts, different perspectives, like you said.
Yeah. Different menu, but still the same restaurant, right? So we're all
exactly.
in this world together. We're all in this world together. Let's live in harmony. Let's make the best of what we have here as a group.
Yeah, you eat the chicken, I eat the turkey. We're good. We can still laugh, joke, and have a great time.
I love it. So tell me more about these group teachings that you're doing for podcasting. Is that something that you do on a regular basis?
Yeah, I do a free podcast workshop monthly, usually about the end of the month. Next one will be the 26th of February. Reach out to me or connect with Arlene. what I do is just give people the perspective and answer their questions. How long should my podcast be? Why should I do a podcast? I tell stories. Like yesterday, I had people just because I'm telling these guest stories. Don't look at a podcast as you're interviewing people to make money. You're changing people's lives. You get a story of Todd Blyleven during the shootings in Las Vegas in 2019, where they had that sniper. He killed 28 people. He saved 100 lives and had 5 people die in his arms. He just took the step, had a calling from God, and ran back in and kept running back in and saving lives, not even thinking about it. Until at the end, he walked into the bathroom and looked in the mirror and just started sobbing. Everything hit him. That's a powerful story. And then we're not saying everybody's going to be the hero like Todd, but we're saying is if we can do things for people. Then he got PTSD and almost died by suicide. But here's the power. In his network, his dad knew a general who was in war. And the general called him and said, I've been there, Todd. And they worked through it. And then he did some other things, counseling and stuff. And he's doing great today. And he's speaking around the world. Tragedy to wonderful. Yeah. Tragedy to wonderful. We can tell those stories that people think they're isolated and it's only them. Transformational.
Yeah. It's like turning your pain into purpose. And it's very, very powerful because you're speaking from your own experience. And I look at podcasting because I listen to so many. And one of my favorite is The Diary of a CEO. Have you heard that one?
Yeah.
Steve Bartlett. So I've been studying his podcast, and I'm like, what is it about him that makes him so good, aside from his British accent? He listens to the person he's interviewing. The questions are great, but he summarizes what they say, but he also asks questions as if he's a listener. It's like the thing that's in my head that I was like, oh, this is a really cool guest. Can you ask him? It's almost like I'm saying, hey, Steve, can you ask him this? And he's asking that question. And what I love is that he doesn't act like the expert, but the expertise that comes on his show, it sort of gets attributed to him too. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to be the expert on a podcast. You can bring in an expert and be inquisitive and summarize what they're saying. And that is like good for you as well. Your profile builds from that too. And that's what I noticed about his podcast, because there are others where the podcaster or the host wants to be the expert all the time about everything. And I'm like, ugh, that's such a turnoff. And I don't want to
yeah, and I agree. And I have to always because I agree with you. But if you want to do your podcast that way, that's great. But I think people you brought a guest on for a reason. The guest should be talking 80% of the time. That's my rule, 80-20, and get close to it. But as a podcast host, and you're going to learn this, Arlene, I've learned so much. Mm-hmm. For example, you know what ego is? What's ego?
Ego? E-G-O?
What's ego mean to you? Yeah.
I guess it's this. Well, go ahead.
Is it good or bad?
It's not good or bad. It's just like a third pull, if you will, that forces you to behave a certain way or say certain things because it's almost like a black hole that needs to be fed constantly. No,
well, no, but I'm going to fix the black hole because I have the same thought about ego as you. One of my guests, Mark Hunter, he's the top sales guy, billions of dollars. He said, Steve, here's what ego really is: empowering greater outcomes. Me and you are doing ego every day. We're empowering people to transform greater outcomes. Because that's what ego really is. Helping people moving forward, growing, getting better. I learned that from my podcast. As a host, if you have a podcast out there, keep in mind, you're going to learn so much if you do the ask, shut up, listen, ask. I've learned so much. I've got notes of quotes from people that I use when I speak to others because our guests are giving us gifts like that. I've used the ego probably 10 times on shows I've been on. And try to remember the person name. If you're always try to give them kudos if you can.
Yeah.
But I've had people go, wow, that's the gift. He's giving me this gift I can share forever when I'm mentoring people. Hey, think about ego. empowering greater outcomes. Oh, I could do that. And some lady actually put it on her computer screen when she meets people. I'm trying to empower greater outcomes. She goes, it's changed my connection with people. So the gift, the resources, the tips that we get from our guests, it's not everyone, but you get 10% of your guests doing that, you're going to grow massively.
How do you determine who you want on your podcast? So do you like just invite people that you think and then put them on, or do you check out their work out there? You know, if they have videos and stuff.
Yeah. If I write a check for $15,000, then they're all, no, I'm kidding. I don't charge for my podcast. I'm kidding. I want to have fun. I don't believe in charging guests. I know people have reached out and asked, you know, I think we talked about it. Your choice again. I'm not judging. If you want to do that and you're getting guests, more power to you. It's just something I don't do because I think the gift really is having somebody on and growing your business. Mm-hmm. I forgot the question because I'm so excited about what was the question?
Just like, how do you determine who you're going to have on? Because I even have it on my, like a disclaimer that if the interview doesn't go well, we may not air it. But like, I don't also want to waste other people's time or my own even.
Yeah. Well, I open up, when I started, I interviewed everybody because I wanted to build a network. I wanted to build a brand new network. So I just brought people. I was doing 5 podcasts a day for 6 months.
Gosh.
Recording. Yeah, it was way too much, but I was in a mode and it was part of my business and I was meeting great people and all that. You need to decide that, podcast host, who you want on. If it's for your business, and I just, yesterday in the podcast workshop, a Medicare insurance lady, I said, you bring on experts in Medicare, bring on patients with Medicare, and have them tell their story. Mm. Oh my God, that's great. I said, you can focus on Medicare and healthcare. Talk to doctors, talk to whoever. And that's your niche. Mine's doing business with the servant's heart. So mine's mostly business owners who have great stories and who have a servant's heart. Yeah. I'm now so booked. I hate to do this, but I've read the Bible and many times with this, it's good to say no when it's not a fit.
Yeah.
Make sure it's a fit. It's okay to say no. I just said no to somebody yesterday and they were fine. And okay, no problem. Or reach out to me in 3 or 4 months. I am busy with a bunch of podcasts. So figure out what your mission and goal is with your podcast. Do you want to grow your business, grow your network? Do you want to make a social impact? Do you want to do all of that? Just figure that out and then go for your guest. And here's the powerful thing about guests. You can go out for big hitters. I'd like to have Elon Musk on my show. Will I ever get him? Probably not. It hurt to ask.
Well, you might.
You never know. Never know. Never know.
It's all.
But you can really control your network and your business with that.
Are you getting referrals from the people who are on your show, or are you going on LinkedIn, or are you just finding people on YouTube, or you just have an idea of like, oh my God, I want to have so-and-so, let me reach out? Since
we're in I always forget what year we're in. Since February, almost a year ago, I have not asked for any. I have way too many guests. I get referrals every week for guests.
And I'm going to be on your show.
And you're going to be on my show. I'm so fired up because I want to talk about matchmaking and serving is such a great marriage. Excuse the pun. But that's where you can get when you grow your podcast and asking. Make sure you ask. Hey, guest, thank you for that great interview. Do you know people in love? For example, we'll just use that example. That work with love or whatever it may be. Make sure you know what you're looking for. And be very specific. Don't go, hey, I'm looking for a great guest on my podcast that's handsome. Well, I wouldn't be on the podcast, but somebody, no, I'm kidding. But that's too general, but be specific. Well, I can tell you what I was looking for, and I still am. Professional athletes, very successful business owners, made millions in their career, influencers, and celebrities.
I should introduce you to someone that I know that I think.
I love that.
He's a former... he goes by Sifu. I don't know if you've had him on your podcast. Sifu.
I had Sifu on my podcast. I'm on his podcast on Friday.
Oh, that's Sifu Raphael, but there's Sifu Carl Romaine.
I don't know him. That's okay.
He's a friend. He has a really cool story. He had a car accident and they thought he was never going to be able to walk. And not only did he walk, he went on to become a champion in martial arts. He was on Oprah. He's written a book, and he has a podcast. I should introduce you to him because
I
I
love
love
that.
those stories of people that are resilient, who bounce back. And then I met him because his wife, his then wife, she passed, became a matchmaker. And so I did some training for her. And he was kind
Nice.
of on the periphery of that. But yeah, um, and he works with a lot of professional athletes from the
He'd be
Giants
great.
and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll
Yeah.
definitely make that connection.
Hey, audience, this is a real life serving
There
right
you
here.
go.
Exactly how you do it. And I'm glad you did that because it's exactly it. Great. And I'm going to say yes. And I've got a couple of guests already that I want to, like Alfonso James, I'm going to have you get you on the show because his message, but that's what it's about. We just gave gifts to each other.
Yeah, and you know, it's so interesting because even in the matchmaking world, or when I talk to daters, I always say, look, if you are single and you want to meet someone and you're telling your friends, this is the year 2025, I want to be in a committed relationship, you need to tell them what you're looking for. Don't just say, do you know a really nice guy or nice gal? Say, I'm looking for this, and this, and then you could paint a picture and people are like, oh yeah, I know somebody like that. Because if you tell me you're looking for athletes or someone in the periphery of that, now I can go through my Rolodex and find that. But if it's so out there and vague, I can't help you. And I'm a super connector too, because I got a guy, I'm from Jersey.
You do. And what you just said, you're going to take over all my workshops now because that's exactly what I tell people.
Yeah.
You got to be specific when you do the ask. Don't say, I'm looking for people that want to make money. I want to look at people that grow. I want people more spiritual or too vague.
Vague. Yeah.
We got to get, especially me and you with these large networks,
Mm-hmm.
I can give you 1,000 people that want to grow. But if you're looking for business coaches that work on mindset, well, now I can give you 3 or 4 people.
Yeah, I need one or
maybe
two
more.
of those.
Yeah. We'll talk.
Because what I do is I train aspiring and professional matchmakers. And often what I find with them is that there's a money mindset issue because these are people who've gone from being in corporate America to starting their own business. And now they're working in their business and they need to get paid an appropriate amount for the level of energy that they have to put into working with these clients. But it sometimes becomes like, oh my God, I can't charge that much. And it's like, okay, well, you're going to be out of business because A, you're not making enough money. And your clients don't want that. They want you to stay in business. They want you to be, energized. And I always look at money as an energy exchange. It's not like you're not stealing from anybody, right? So as long as you're fulfilling the contract and you're doing what you said you were going to do for that payment, you're good. You're not responsible for the outcome. Like we all want to get everybody into a relationship if you're a matchmaker, but all you can do is find qualified people to introduce to your client. It's up to them to determine whether or not that's going to turn into a relationship. So,
Mic drop. Mic drop moment. It's exactly it. Audience, you take that and run with it, you'll do quite well.
yeah. Well, Steve, I feel like I can talk to you forever. If I ever end up in California with the hubby, because we've been talking about doing an RV trip around the country.
Hi, Steve. This is Alex calling with Bet Phoenix. Try to get hold.
Hey, Steve, this is Steve. Sorry.
Hey, I had a power outage.
Holy moly.
But anyway, what I just wanted to say is that we are going to take an RV trip around the country. If we end up in California, I want to do a double date with you and your beautiful wife.
Done.
Because I think the four of us would have such a blast together. And I cannot tell you how grateful I am for you being on my show and for all the gems that you dropped tonight. For people who are seriously thinking about doing a podcast, I highly encourage it. I'm excited. I'm enjoying all these conversations. And I'm so grateful that you share so much with this audience.
And you gave me a great opportunity, so I thank you big time. Big virtual hugs.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Steve. For those of you who are listening, who think that this might be beneficial to someone that you know, please go ahead and share, give us a like, and let us know what topics you want us to cover. We look forward to having you on the show again, Steve. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Have you ever felt called to help others find love? You might have the heart for matchmaking, but without the right training, turning that passion into a thriving business can feel impossible. Most matchmaking courses give you outdated theories and a certificate, but no real-world strategy to build a successful business. That's where Love Pro Mastermind Academy is different. Our live Done With You training goes beyond theory, helping you develop matchmaking expertise, implement sales and marketing strategies, and master the art of client success. With expert-led instruction, accountability, and a community of like-minded professionals, you'll learn how to identify your niche, attract high-quality clients, create a seamless matchmaking process, grow a sustainable, profitable business. With over a decade of experience, we don't just train matchmakers, we create leaders in the industry. Are you ready to become an LPMA certified matchmaker and build a business that changes lives? Apply today at lovepromastermind.com.
Thank you for tuning in to the Matchmaker Mentor Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with fellow matchmakers and friends. For more resources, training, and inspiration, visit lovepromastermind.com and follow us on social media. Remember, matchmaking isn't just a career, it's a calling. Let's keep building connections, changing lives, and growing together. Until next time, stay inspired and keep matching.